Hey everyone, welcome back. This is our third week of Motivational Mondays. I'm here again with Patricia from Intellispark. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you.
So the last two videos we discussed, school level interventions and how we can utilize these for our students, and then how to improve our relationships overall with our students, whether it's someone we've worked with all year or someone we just started to work with for whatever reason. And as mentioned, so today we're going to conclude by discussing, how everything that we were just talking about and mentioned fits into working with our communities and how we can use our community for our students' benefit and our benefit. So as mentioned in previous videos, I'm sure all of you counselors out there know and educators know, we're all kind of in like triage mode right now. And it seems like we're juggling a plethora of responsibilities unlike anything ever before, more than we already normally are. So I think that some of the much more profound ones are about student welfare and their basic physical and emotional health and well-being and equity and things like that. So Tricia, to start off, I was wondering, do you have any recommendations for how this can be done most effectively so that this mountain that we seem like we have to climb right now as educators doesn't seem so daunting?
Yeah, Anthony, it's so true. I mean, counselors already had a ridiculously complex lift before, and it just seems like the lift has become exponentially heavier with students' needs becoming so wide ranging. And it's not just a handful of students now, it's a lot more students than we've seen. Um, So this is where it is critical to pull in those community resources to the student support team, or whatever that collective team is at the school that is working together to triage the challenges students are having. These are resources that already exist in most of our communities, specifically to support these more critical needs that we are increasingly seeing for students and their families. Um, these issues could include food insecurity, domestic concerns, mental health crises, and other significant needs that are beyond a counselor's ability to address with the school's immediate resources. The challenge is that schools need processes to help families connect with these resources much more seamlessly. Counselors can't do it all, but they are the critical bridge that recognizes, probably before most people, the need to tap those resources when it's the right time, when they're the person that a student is most likely to open up to, or at least that a teacher may come to if they're finding it in their relationships with students. So undoubtedly, those calls are becoming much more frequent. And yeah, it's a fair question. How do we support that engagement? So at Intellispark, we do have school counselors with whom we're partnering, who are using our solution, who are giving limited team member access to these community-based partners, these resources, who can be brought into the student support process much more quickly and seamlessly. We're hearing several different ways that this is helpful. First, by pulling these resources with their actual email contacts for the direct communication into the platform and giving those folks access to just the right level of information and communication capabilities, the school counselors and school social workers can quickly activate these resources if a relevant flag is raised for a student. So, for example, if a student subtly expresses food insecurity to an educator, or another concern, what's happening at home, the counselor or social worker can immediately trigger a communication to the local food bank or the relevant local service provider, because again, their information can be in the system and the flag can go directly to them. That community resource can record in Intellispark what actions they've then taken with the family so that everyone who should know the status of that action will know the status. Was the connection made? Did the student get the service? Did the family get the service? Is it ongoing? Was the case closed? So often our frustration comes from not having a closed loop. Well, this allows us to actually bring the right person into the loop and then see that the loop has been closed or that it's an ongoing loop. So this two-way communication between school staff and outside resources is kept right within each student's personal hub page. And this keeps everyone literally on the same page about what critical support students and families are receiving and how things are going. These outside professionals can also let educators know when students may be stepping away from class to receive outside resources, especially those who are supporting students' mental health, and may have very specific time slots. When I was a classroom teacher, it was often frustrating that I wouldn't know what was going on. A student would say, "Oh, I have to leave," and I didn't really have the heads up. I didn't know if it was really the case. I didn't know what it was. This kind of builds that relationship between the service providers and the classroom teachers. So there's a lot of trust is built. So then also finally, where appropriate, these outside resources, again, especially those supporting students' mental health, can see relevant communications in the Student Hub page, including student survey results around social and emotional well-being, relationships and interests, positive feedback that those students are receiving from teachers and counselors that they can then recognize and reinforce themselves as they're talking to students. It's great to have that network effect of many people being proud of a student. And then they can also see the other interventions students might be receiving, maybe academic ones or other. This allows those very highly trained resources to optimize their precious time with students by having a window into students' daily lives at school. And perhaps this is the only kind of structured time students have where this is actually being documented and recorded. I think most critically, and I'm sure this is on people's minds as I'm talking about this, Intellispark is very sensitive to student privacy. Our founders have been working in this space for over 20 years, and are quite seasoned in the need to make sure that the right people have access to the right information at the right time. So there are many checks and balances in the system to ensure that each type of role is able to access only the information they need to have in order to support students effectively. So I want people to have that confidence there. The example I gave before is a mental health professional who certainly is going pretty deep with that student anyway, so they obviously would be granted that permission. But this really is a robust way and we're seeing schools take advantage of it, to leverage those resources that have so much expertise, and really can make the difference for that student. And this is where the student feels the collective community wrapping their arms around them, not just the student, but the family feels it as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that was so much to think about there. It's really great to hear how Intellispark helps really grow our teams to support our students in a way that we might not be able to normally or haven't really thought of doing before. It really streamlines it, make sure that everyone who can help our students is right there in one spot to make sure we're all doing what we can for them. So I want to say thank you again, Tricia, over these last couple of videos in our discussion. You've really given us a lot to think about. There's a lot of great information there. And if you haven't watched the other two, I urge you to go check those out. They'll also be on School Counselor Central. We discussed a lot of great ideas about checking in with students, where they are, effectively deploying and responding to survey info that we got, building these relationships and encouraging kids whenever we can, and even leveraging community resources like we just heard about, especially if there's intensive needs with certain children or families. So thank you again, Tricia, for all your time. It was a pleasure getting to speak to you about such important topics. And I want to thank everyone who joined us today. And I hope you got as much out of this conversation as I did. I'll be posting the links and information about Intellispark in this post. So go check out their site and what they have to offer. I hope everyone has a great week. Thank you again, everyone. And thank you, Tricia, for your time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Anthony. It's really exciting to make a difference. So enjoy it.
Thank you. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.